This is one of my favorite electric vehicles, mainly because it makes sense as an electric vehicle. Big luxury sedan made for cruising along, absolute silence, but effortless grunt as well. It's the 2025 Genesis G80 Electrified. And look at it, very majestic design. I love these alloy wheels, staggered width tires front and back as well. 245 45s on the front, 275 40s on the back, Michelin Pilot Sport 4s, no mucking around here. Underneath it all, you've got a 94.5 kilowatt hour battery, providing a range of over 550 kilometers, sending power to 2 electric motors, combining to produce 272 kilowatts, 0 to 100 in a claimed 5.1 seconds. Perfectly fast enough for a vehicle like this. Obviously, this is all about the interior. This is featured in a navy blue, which kind of reminds me of, 90s luxury sedans, Fords and Holdens and so on. And with the 2025 update, you've got this new single piece screen running across the dash. Some fine trimmings down here on the console. Plenty of physical buttons as well. You've got full climate control down there, so you don't have to dig into the screen. And then obviously a very nice driving position. You are sunken down a little bit. Being a sedan, if you're used to driving SUVs, this will feel like it's low to the ground. And the A-pillar there does sort of sprout out towards your forehead. Even the front of the ceiling seems a little bit low, maybe because I'm so short and sit forward. If I could slide the seat back a bit, that might not seem as close. But yeah, it is a very sort of low profile sedan. The drag coefficient is just 0.25 in long wheelbase form, or 0.26 in the standard wheelbase. So very slippery through the air. And that shows when you're driving as well. So at the moment, I'm averaging 20.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is really good for a big, fast, heavy sedan. This weighs just over 2.3 tons. It's not the heaviest out there for an EV of this sort of size, and the battery, taking into account the battery size as well. But yeah, 20.5 is very good. It just smoothly cruises along. You've got a number of drive modes as well, including Eco, Comfort and Sport. You can see the range there moving about as I'm going through the different modes. So in Eco, you've got 495 at 89% battery. When I picked it up, it was at 100%. It was well over, I think it was 570 kilometers when I picked it up. So I think it does offer a very good real world range. And I think that's because of that slipperiness of the aerodynamics. As usual with Genesis products, excellent build quality all round. Not many scratchy, basic materials. A decent view at the back, although, yeah, it is a sort of coupe roofline almost, very curvy. So that C-pillar is quite thick. But if you're thinking of riding in one of these, potentially you're going to be in the back. This has got fully electric doors as well, so they can close these from the touchscreen. And then in the back, absolutely splendid. Like, I'm reclined probably more than I want to be actually, but plenty of leg room. And my head is getting pretty close considering I'm short. So if you're quite tall, yeah, you'd probably need to recline it back a bit just to give you that bit of extra length. If I put the seat all the way up, that's as high as it goes, and it's still quite reclined because, yeah, it is getting close to that ceiling there. You've got your own console, wireless charger, multiple charging options, and seat heating and cooling with full climate control. And if you can't be bothered to shut the door, just push the button. You've also got power blinds. And this does feature double glazed windows as well, so it's absolutely silent in here. And up at the back, you've got 354 litres of boot space. It does actually stretch forward a bit there, so you've got all that cavity. It doesn't just cut off there, but it is a wide vehicle, so you've got to remember, yeah, you've got a fair bit of space spanning all the way across. And you do actually have some storage under the floor there as well. Good for the charging cables. All right, let's take it for a spin, see how it goes. We'll do the performance test later on as well. So what I mean by this is perfect as an EV is that it's a luxury sedan, so it needs to be quiet, but it also has to have effortless power. We took this for a drive from Sydney to Dubbo over the weekend, about 400 to 500 kilometers, and it was very nice to drive, very quiet, relaxing. The range calculator is actually really good, as in it'll say, for example, right now it's saying 304 kilometers. We drove, for example, 200 kilometers according to the map, and it would say around 100 kilometers left in the range, which is really good. A lot of EVs out there, they'll get that completely wrong. So you'll get there and you'll have near zero, and you'll just think, well, where did that 100 kilometers go? So this is actually calculating quite accurately, it seems. Now, I was driving with the aircon on, had the massage driver's seat going, the kids are playing around with some of the electronics in the back, the rear blinds and all that sort of stuff. So not driving in an economical manner. In eco mode, it's not as quick. The throttle response is slackened off quite a bit, so you've got to push your foot on the pedal more so than, you know, a regular vehicle, I guess, before it will actually respond. But if you're cruising on the highway, yeah, I found that mode to be quite handy, because it just, yeah, wafts along, no problem at all, easy to overtake still, and you've still got that instant, yeah, electric power. It's just when you put it into comfort mode, you get much sharper response and what feels like more power as well. I know a lot of EVs, they actually cut, so twin motors, they actually cut one of the motors in eco mode. I'll flash up any specs now if this vehicle does that. I wouldn't be surprised, because you get about, well, let's have a look, 316 kilometers range in eco mode. I'll put it into sport mode and it goes down to 297. Turn the aircon completely off, that jumps up to 305. So go back to the eco mode, you've got 324. So there's a big gap, but I do like the way that it changes around according to what mode you're in, and even the fan speed. So I'll just show you. So it's 307. I'll just click this fan speed up one, and it usually changes the, yeah, there you go, 306. So just jumping up the fan speed a couple of different settings, it'll actually change the range. Obviously that's a little bit annoying if you're driving or used to driving a petrol or diesel vehicle, but I do like that kind of really finicky accuracy of the range, because it gives you, well, it lets you know how far you can actually get before you've got to be concerned about charging up. You've also got different regen settings using the paddle shifters, including a max sort of almost one pedal, or it says I pedal, and you can just put it down to level 0, so it just coasts along when you back off on the accelerator. I found level 2 to be pretty good. I don't like one pedal driving, because as soon as you back off a little bit, it really starts to slow down. Sometimes I find if you just coast along, you get pretty good economy. But anyway, that's just my personal preference. Level 2 seems to be pretty good. If you're going down a big hill or whatever, you'll see that little the gauge there go right into the blue and charge the battery, but it doesn't slow down the vehicle too much. Now, in terms of a sort of performance sedan, I really like big luxury fast sedans like the M5 and so on. I grew up, or not grew up, but I spent a lot of time in a Ford Fairmont Ghia EF Series 2 when I was at uni. It was my dad's vehicle and he kind of gave it to me, and I absolutely loved it because it was so comfortable but also pretty fast. This reminds me of that quite a bit. The suspension is soft, but it seems to be well suited to Australian roads. For example, you come around a corner and there's a few bumps on the corner. It doesn't sort of really crash and bang around. It absorbs the bump, but it seems to sort of progressively slow down as the compression happens. I haven't had it bottom out at all. It feels like it will, because there's so much sort of wheel movement, at least in the comfort mode, but it never does. So it's walking that fine balance between providing optimum comfort without disturbing the stability pretty much in any way. We'll put it into the sport mode, and yeah, this becomes a very quick machine. Obviously you can't get the full sensation on camera because there's no noise. I do like that there's no noise. I don't want fake sounds in my luxury sedan like this. I don't like fake sounds to begin with, but yeah, in a vehicle like this, you do not need them. You've just got a natural sound of the motor whining, just very slightly, but that's not put there for any sort of enthusiasm. That's just the natural sound of an electric motor winding up. Excellent grip with that four-wheel drive system. It's very sure-footed actually. Like, that's full throttle It's just ripping me around the corner. I felt the seatbelt tension up as a part of the sort of safety systems. But yeah, it's actually really capable, this thing. You would be surprised how fast it leaps from corner to corner. Those big Michelin tires as well, obviously grip hard, and then all the weight's pressing down on the ground. It's a, I really like this sedan, I really do. It's a shame that Genesis don't sell that many vehicles full stop, but let alone this model. Yeah, look at that, down that, you know, that's a very uncomfortable corner for the vehicle. It's downhill, it's off camber, the surface is all loose and a bit sort of gravelly almost, but this thing just grips up, and the nose tucked in, and with some throttle down as well, it just pulled me around. Okay, back up. I've turned the stability and traction control completely off just to see how it handles at the absolute kind of limit. And although this is not a sports sedan, it's a luxury sedan, the suspension is still quite soft in the sport mode, but it's not having any sort of negative impact. That's full throttle around there. It was not going to let any wheel slip happen, not because of the traction control, but just because there's just so much grip. And I think the brains of the all-wheel drive system figure out where to best send the power. Yeah, this is actually really fast and engaging. It's fun to drive. As I said, I do like tossing around a big luxury sedan, so it's a bit of a you know, I'm a fan of that, so maybe not everyone likes that type of thing, but I really like it. It's very flat, very low, and that suspension is doing really well down this twisty bit. A lot of pressure on the outside front tire. It's just leaping down. Excellent brakes on this thing as well. If I had one criticism, it's the throttle response on relief. Like when you back off, it kind of keeps pushing just for a split second afterwards. I'd like to be able to, yeah, to be very snappy. As soon as I take it off, it comes off straight away. That might be a safety thing where it doesn't release the power instantly, but I do left foot braking as well, and it's probably getting a little bit confused with that. But overall, yeah, I really like this. It's fun to drive, but it's also very luxurious and comfortable. So full throttle, and it's just picking up speed totally effortlessly. That's what I love about it as well, and that's what I mean. It suits an electric powertrain because it is so effortless. There's no sense that this is struggling at all. It's majestic in the way that it just picks up speed and just gets out of there. Awesome brakes after, yeah, repeated abuse. I've been up and down here a few times now. They're holding up well, even though this is a big and heavy vehicle. Those tires no doubt help. Around here, full throttle again. That's full throttle, hard on the brakes. So that was pretty much instant actually. I just jumped straight from the throttle straight onto the brakes. Around this big sweeping bend, full throttle. Yeah, it's ripping me around. Now obviously you can't sort of get that sense of what's happening, but this is producing quite a bit of G-force, but it's also engaging and capable. Like it doesn't feel like I'm pushing this big barge down here. It's actually going, okay, that's what you want to do, let's go. I can do it without much effort. So if you're in the market for a large luxury sedan and you want that sort of old school charm of just quiet wafting along, then definitely I should take a look at one of these. At least go and have a look, because the range is pretty good, 570 kilometers, and you do kind of get that in the real world, or it is capable of getting that. As I said, I drove along the highway a fair bit. I tried out eco mode, that seems to help, and it doesn't sacrifice anything. And you're still getting all the luxury. So you've got the power sun blinds and so on, double glazed windows, massage driver's seat. I think there's a passenger seat as well, though I couldn't figure out how to activate that, or my wife couldn't. And then the big screen across the dash, excellent Bang & Olufsen sound system. It's got all the luxury qualities, but then it's also got power and performance on top of it, but without it's effortless. It's not like a you know, loud and and sort of flamboyant V8. And you can have some fun in the mountains on a weekend or Sunday morning or something like that, but then go back to being, you know, business as usual, put it into comfort mode and just cruise along. Put the stability control back on, although it didn't seem to, it doesn't intervene hardly at all. During the performance tests, I think it might have a little bit of wheel spin, just getting off the line, but yeah, around a mountain road like that, I don't think it's intervened at all with it left on. All right, let's head out now to the performance test and see how it goes. Actually, before we do, I'll just quickly say that the main thing that lets this down is the infrastructure, in my opinion. For example, we're in Dubbo and there was an NRMA charger. Now, I didn't have the NRMA app, and where this charger was, I just happened to have no phone service. So I'm sitting there stuffing around trying to download the app, and I couldn't charge the vehicle because I just couldn't access the internet. And I think that's really annoying, the way they make you download an app, put in all your information, your credit card details and all of that. I don't understand why they can't just have a pay wave system on the charger. You tell it, you know, how much you want to put in there, $20, $40, whatever, or even at the end of it, and then you just pay for it. Now, you might say, oh, but people might abuse that and not pay and drive away, whatever. But that's the same. We've been doing that with petrol stations. You fill up, then you go and pay for it. There's no reason why they can't do that with chargers, because that was the biggest letdown, the infrastructure for me. There was also a couple of chargers that were out of order, even though they said that they were in order on the app. So yeah, it was just a little bit of a hassle calculating where the chargers are, but also figuring out that when you get there, they're not actually working. So imagine going to a petrol station, or, you know, mapping out a big long road trip, and there's petrol stations along the way, and you get to the petrol station and all of the Bowsers are just out of order. So that's really frustrating, and I think that's what lets it down the most. But it's not really the car's problem. If you're staying local and whatever, then you won't have a problem because you'll know you'll charge it at home or whatever, and it won't be such an issue. But as a Grand Tourer, as a road trip vehicle, it was absolutely excellent. Just let down a little bit by, or quite a bit by the charging infrastructure in Australia right now.